first day of assignment at a new precinct in Queens, it's a day tour. I'm going to be the sergeant on patrol that day. I'm 29 years old. I'm a young guy. Nervous, anxious, new sergeant. So I go up to the desk officer and I ask him for a copy of the roll call. One of the things that somebody told me was make sure you can get everybody's make sure you can pronounce everyone's name when you're calling the roll. So I'm preparing, get the roll call. Now I turned to the lieutenant and I said, I'm going to have a driver, right? Sergeants in the police department have drivers, have a chauffeur. I said, who's my driver? And he points to this guy standing against the wall over there, and he says, the guy that's going to be driving you is Sudsy. We call him Sudsy here. Sudsy meaning beer. So I look at this fella. He's got a big pot belly over his belt. His gun belt is down around his kneecaps. He's got a big pumpkin red face and a red nose, broken veins in his face. And I'm shaking my head saying, oh my God, my chauffeur's, he looks like an alcoholic. I'm not sure, but he looks it. We get in the car. We don't get 10 feet away from the curb. He's driving. I'm sitting next to him, a sergeant on patrol. And he says to me, Sarge, you drink? I said, no, Eddie, I don't drink. He says, you don't drink anything? Nothing? I said, no, I don't drink anything. I don't drink alcohol, no. Holy mackerel, not even beer? I said, nothing, I don't drink. With that, a radio car pulls up next to us, and two guys wave to me and welcome me to the precinct. Hey, Sarge, welcome. I'm so-and-so and I'm so-and-so, welcome. Listen, Sarge, be careful of Sudsy over here. He's our precinct goat. If you get a case of beer with him, he drinks the cans and everything. And they pull away. Now this is my first encounter with wearing two hats. We go on a little bit further during the day in the morning, and then he says to me spontaneously, why don't you drink? Did you ever drink? So I tell him, yes, I did drink, but I had trouble with it, so I stopped. And I don't really know how to handle it at this point on the job, my first encounter with it. So I said, I had trouble with Eddie, and it did more damage to me than I did to it, so I stopped. And then he says, I can't stop. I wish I could stop. If I knew how to stop, maybe I'd stop. So now the thought strikes me, now what do I do? So I said, let's get a couple of cups of coffee and I'll tell you. I said, if the day ever comes when you seriously want to know how to stop and how I stopped, I'll tell you. But let's get on with work here. A little while later on, he asked me how I stopped. He wants to know how I stopped. So I get 2 cups of coffee. We pull into a White Castle parking lot, and I tell him a little of my story as I'm telling it to you. He's looking at me with his eyeballs popping out of his head, this guy. And at the end of my story, I certainly condensed it, but at the end of it I said, so if you want to stop, I'll make a referral. I'll tell you who to call. They'll save your life. And he said, classic response, Sarge, I ain't that bad. There was a couple of other words in with the bad, but I ain't that bad. Well, ironically, this guy went on to getting put off the department for a psychiatric survey. He flipped out, never stopped drinking, and he lost his marbles a couple of years